Wildcat Football Weekly, presented by Hughes Federal Credit Union, home of the official U of A debit card. Get yours today at hughesfcu.org.
Welcome to another edition of Wildcat Weekly with head coach Kevin Sumlin. Cats and the Sun Devils, Territorial Cup on Saturday night up in Tempe. Rivalry game. You've been through them before. You've been through this one before. What's it like in practice this week as your guys get set for this game?
We'll get rolling. We'll have some maybe some guest speakers maybe show up and talk about their experience in this game to really help our young players. The older players have been through it. We had a little skirmish before the game last year that when guys were barely, I think they were still in sweatsuits. So, the intensity level gets ratcheted up a lot. And for the young players or our first-year players, to understand what's at stake, you want them to understand that before they get it right in the middle of the game.
Do you find your pregame speech doesn't have to be very long in a game like this?
Well, yeah, and we've used other guys, so former players were great. Last year, Coach Tomey came and spoke. So we just keep building it up until Saturday.
All right. We'll talk more about this game, but I want to look ahead to next year. And I looked at your depth chart, and of the 54 players on your depth chart right now, 45 of them could be back next year, which tells us it's a very young team. And maybe take us through the process now of what this has meant for the guys that are returning and what you hope to see from them during the offseason.
Well, 45 of those 54, that's good and bad, right? So we've seen some things that guys have made mistakes, but they've played very hard. But experience matters, and experience and talent matters. So a lot of those young players, as you said, will be back with experience and with attitude, and nobody's happy about where we are right now, record-wise. So, you can actually build on that in the off season with those young guys who have been through a full season and are a little frustrated right now.
Every week we have the J.J. Taylor chapter. This is going to be his kind of swan song, so to speak. That's not a negative term,
no.
But what has he meant for this program and dating back even before you arrived, but in particular the last 2 years?
He's been through a lot. He had the dislocated ankle early in his career. It was a real scary moment when he hurt the ankle during training camp. But wrestling for 1,400 yards a year ago, being an all-league player, you see where he is right now with kickoff returns and punt returns. I mean, everything. We're trying to get the ball in his hands. He approaches the game like a professional, day to day. What he does, studying, working, and rehab, all those things are important to him. And this will be a sad day. You saw me in senior day. It's a pretty long hug right there because he's a hell of a player and a great person.
And the same for Khalil Tate, who will also finish as one of the top 5 passers in Arizona history. And the things he has done for the program, I mean, just putting the Wildcats in the national spotlight, et cetera, has been.
It's a big game. I mean, these last games are always tough. When you spend as much time as you do, as the players do, and the coaches do together, everybody looks at the 12 weeks or the 12 games, but we're with each other in this room a lot, and so just knowing that's not going to happen for those guys becomes an emotional time.
All right, on to Arizona State. They have 3 outstanding players on offense, big playmakers. What has been maybe the formula that has allowed them to succeed here?
Well, I think, it all starts through the quarterback. I think he's done a nice job this year of really taking care of the football and distributing that. They one of the leader in the league in receiving and really kickoff, punt returns, and Benjamin is the constant that really has helped to settle him down. And when you have those kind of dynamic players, the quarterback becomes a distributor and he's done a nice job of taking care of the football.
Your team has not turned the ball over for 3 straight weeks now. You've cut back on penalties. In a game like in the rivalry game, can those two factors be maybe
Huge.
the biggest?
Yeah, they're huge, right? Because it's an emotional game, right? And you know, turnovers, takeaways, things that they did a nice job of last week against Oregon, ultimately settled the game. They played great, but you know, the takeaways from Oregon really were the difference in the game. And so, you know, when you're in an emotional game, in a physical game like this one will be, you know, those takeaways, those penalties become a big factor.
All right, Cats and the Sun Devils, Saturday night, 8 o'clock up in Tempe, and more Wildcat Weekly right after this.
Life is what you make it, full of endless possibilities and opportunities at every corner. In our fast-paced world, where you bank matters. Hughes helps you with what matters most, delivering dreams, adding value to your life, for you, your family, and your future. We are local, rooted in the community you call home. Join us on the journey of life. Hughes Federal Credit Union, recognized by Forbes as one of Arizona's best credit unions 2 years in a row.
Wildcat Football Weekly continues, presented by Hughes Federal Credit Union. Forbes ranked Hughes one of the best credit unions in Arizona 2 years in a row. Learn more at hughesfcu.org/best.
We continue with Wildcat Weekly. Our guest this week is Fenton Connell, one of the seniors who will put on that Wildcat uniform for the last time Saturday night up in Tempe. And before we get to the ball game, Finn, I know that's got to be emotional that last time you pull on that uniform or take it off, but how do you describe your career? Have you had a lot of fun?
Oh, yeah, no, I've enjoyed my time here at Arizona with the fans. They've always been great, the loyal fans there. I love Tucson, and this will always be my home for me.
Well, you knew about this rivalry before you ever came to the U of A. What was your first impression? When did you first get that idea that these two teams, you know, it gets intense when they play football?
It was probably my redshirt sophomore year, and we were at Tempe, and just coming out of that tunnel before the game started, and just hearing the fans at ASU and how intense they were, and what they were saying to us, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this is an intense rivalry, and I'm excited, and I loved it ever since.
When on game week, like this week, when did it first start to hit you, and maybe you felt it amongst the rest of the players that, okay, this is the rivalry week, this is the big game to end the season?
I would say, you know, during that whole week, during ASU week, when we prepare for them, and you can see the intensity of guys, their faces change, they change. So throughout the whole week, and they're the most prepared they've ever been. So,
Chuck Cecil, of course, played in this rivalry before. Now, Chuck's not a shy guy, so I imagine he's had a few things to say. But has he relived any of his memories? Or let me ask this first: have you seen the video of his 100-yard interception return?
oh yeah, I've probably seen that 100 times, and it never gets old. It always gives me goosebumps watching it, him just running down and taking it back to the house. So it's awesome.
What has he imparted anything about the rivalry from his perspective?
Oh yeah, I've never seen him more intense than ASU, and you know, he doesn't like ASU. Obviously, you can tell. So he definitely brings that intensity out, and it brings it out into us. And I've seen he's just been focused this whole week going for ASU.
Well, great career. Congratulations on that. Best of luck Saturday.
Thank you so much.
He is Fenton Connell, and that is a wrap for Wildcat Weekly for football. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you for watching Wildcat Football Weekly, presented by Hughes Federal Credit Union, home of the free U of A Visa debit card. Get yours today at hughesfcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.